They abandoned me after a false accusation. Now they want back in. I used to think my life was boring in the best way. I was the quiet guy with headphones in, books stacked too high, and a golden retriever named Atlas who thought fetch was a competitive sport. I wasn't popular, but I wasn't invisible either. Teachers liked me, classmates mostly ignored me, and I spent more nights reading than partying. That was fine. I thought the lack of drama was proof I was doing life correctly. Then I started dating Lila. She was loud where I was quiet, spontaneous where I was cautious. The kind of girl who laughed with her whole chest and turned heads without trying. I had no idea why she noticed me, but she did. She asked to borrow a pencil in history class, then asked if I wanted to study together, then asked if I wanted to grab food after. I said yes each time like I was passing secret tests. For a while, it was good. We had movie nights, we took long drives, we shared playlists. She kissed me in the library once and shushed me for laughing too loud. I thought maybe I was finally living the kind of life that deserved photos. But underneath, I always felt like I was sprinting to keep up with her pace. She was a storm, I was an umbrella that kept turning inside out. By the end of senior year, things fizzled. No big fight, just constant arguments about stupid things, who texted first, why I didn't want to go to a party, why she never studied but still got by. I broke it off. She cried, called me heartless, then stormed out. I figured that was the end of it. I was wrong. A year later. I was 19, working part-time at a hardware store while saving for community college, when my phone blew up. At first I thought it was a wrong group chat, angry texts, screenshots, vague posts on social media. Then a friend called me, voice low. Man. Lila's saying you assaulted her. She's telling everyone it happened when you were together. I remember sitting on the floor, Atlas pressing against me, my chest hollow. I couldn't even process it. Assault? Me? I'd never laid a hand on her in anger. Our biggest physical fights were about who got the last fry. But once words like that are out there, they spread faster than truth ever could. Within days, friends stopped answering my texts. People I'd eaten lunch with for years unfriended me online. At work, customers whispered. Then came the police. A knock on the door, 2 officers, and the words that still make my stomach clench, "You're under arrest." They cuffed me in front of Atlas, who barked frantically at the door. My mom cried in the driveway as neighbors peeked through blinds. I was shoved into the back of a cruiser, heart pounding so loud I couldn't hear anything else. The station. They questioned me for hours. Where was I on certain nights? Did I ever hurt Lila? Did I know why she'd say these things? I answered everything honestly, no, I don't know. They didn't look convinced. They asked again. And again. By midnight I was exhausted, scared, and starting to wonder if maybe truth didn't matter. They held me overnight. Cold cell, hard bench, the smell of bleach and sweat. I stared at the ceiling tiles and wondered if this was the rest of my life. I imagined prison bars. Headlines. My mom's face when they dragged me away replayed until I wanted to scream. In the morning they released me on bail, pending investigation. No charges filed yet. But the damage was already lava spreading downhill. The breaking point. While I was at the station, something even worse happened. Someone, still don't know who, got into our yard and poisoned Atlas. My mom found him convulsing, foam at his mouth. She rushed him to the vet, but it was too late. By the time I got home, my best friend was gone. I collapsed on the kitchen floor when I heard. 19 years old, accused of something I didn't do, and now the only creature who believed in me without hesitation was dead. That was the moment the light in me cracked. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't believe how fast one lie had demolished everything I had. The case. The investigation dragged for weeks. Detectives asked more questions, combed through messages, tried to piece together timelines. My lawyer, a family friend who agreed to help cheap, kept telling me to stay calm. No evidence, he said. They can't make it stick. Meanwhile, Lila posted vague things online. Black squares, captions about survivors, likes and shares stacking up. My inbox filled with hate. Strangers called me a monster. Kids from school threatened to finish the job if the police didn't. Finally, the DA announced they wouldn't be pressing charges. Not enough evidence. Case closed. Legally, I was free. Socially, I was radioactive. No one posted an update clearing my name. No one apologized for the threats. The silence from my so-called friends was louder than the hate had been. Becoming a ghost. That summer, I packed what I could and left town. New state, new number, new everything. I found a job at a warehouse, saved money, kept my head down. I stopped using social media. I didn't tell anyone my story. To them, I was just the quiet new guy. I let that version of me live, because the old version was dead. I bought a new dog, a rescue mutt I named Rook. He had scars on his muzzle and flinched at loud noises. We understood each other instantly. He slept curled against my side like he was afraid I'd vanish. I clung to him like proof that love could still exist. 2 years passed like that. Work. Home. Walks with Rook. Repeat. I stopped believing in friendship, in romance, in anyone's ability to see me as human once someone else had declared me a villain. I figured this was my punishment, not prison, but invisibility. The spark. Then came Kayla. She worked at the coffee shop across from the warehouse. At first she was just the barista who remembered my order. Then she started asking questions, where I was from, what books I liked, why I always wore headphones. I kept answers short, but she didn't give up. She had this way of looking at me like she saw the whole story, not just the cover. One day, Rook pulled me across the street while she was on break. He licked her hand, tail wagging like he'd known her forever. She laughed, crouched down, and said, "Well, if your dog approves, yes, I'm in." That was the first time I laughed in years. Relearning how to live. Kayla didn't push. She invited. To walks, to late-night diners, to sit in her car and just listen to music. She told me her own scars, different, but deep. She said everyone has a chapter they'd rather tear out, but sometimes those chapters explain the rest of the book. Slowly, I let her in. I told her pieces of the story, bracing for the flinch, the disgust, the suspicion. But she didn't flinch. She believed me. When I told her about Atlas, she cried harder than I did. When I told her about leaving home, she squeezed my hand like it was a vow. With her, I remembered what trust felt like. What hope sounded like. That maybe I wasn't doomed to be a ghost forever. The past comes knocking. 3 years after I'd left, a message popped up on my old, mostly abandoned email. It was from Mason, my former best friend. The subject line, "I owe you." My chest tightened as I read. He wrote that people back home had started to realize Lila had lied. She'd told different versions to different people, slipped up, admitted things when drunk. Some of my old friends wanted to apologize, to reconnect. They felt guilty for abandoning me. They wanted to clear the air. I stared at the screen, Rook's head in my lap. My hands shook. For 3 years I'd been rebuilding from rubble. And now the same people who had kicked me when I was down wanted to walk back into my life as if sorry was a magic key. I didn't reply. Not right away. I didn't sleep that night after Mason's email. Rook lay beside me, snoring softly, while my brain played courtroom in the dark. On one side, the possibility that maybe, just maybe, my old friends had realized the truth. On the other, the fact they'd let me drown when I needed a hand most. Around 3 a.m., I opened my laptop and typed a draft reply. Deleted it. Typed another. Deleted that too. Every sentence felt like me begging them to believe what they should have known from the start. Why did I have to prove my innocence years later, when they'd already served their sentence of silence? By sunrise, I knew. I didn't want them back. I wanted them to know what their absence had cost. Answering the ghosts. I finally wrote. You all made your choice. I was accused of something horrific, and instead of standing by me, you stood back. Not one of you asked me directly what happened. Not one of you gave me the benefit of the doubt. I lived through hell alone, lost my friends, my name, my dog. Now, years later, you want to ease your guilt. You don't want reconciliation, you want relief. I can't give you that. I don't trust you, and I don't want you in my life. This door is closed. I hit send. My hands were steady. The replies started trickling in within hours. Some long and dramatic, blaming the pressure of the time. Some short, we were scared. One even tried humor, guess we all screwed up, huh? I didn't answer any of them. Silence, finally, was mine to choose. Lila. About a week later, another email arrived. This one from Lila herself. My stomach twisted reading her name. Her message was a mess of contradictions, apologies wrapped in excuses, admissions tangled with self-pity. She wrote that she'd been going through things, that she'd needed attention, that she didn't realize how far it would go. She admitted she lied. She admitted she hurt me. But then she asked if we could start fresh because she'd changed. I sat staring at the screen, remembering Atlas convulsing on the kitchen floor. Remembering my mother's tears as neighbors whispered. Remembering concrete benches and bleach-scented cells. There are no words in any language for the rage I felt. But I didn't rage. I didn't reply at all. I closed the email, blocked her address, and walked Rook until my legs ached. She got silence too. Kayla's question. When I told Kayla about the messages, she didn't tell me what to do. She just asked, what do you want your life to look like in 5 years? Does it include any of them? I thought about it. The answer came easy. No. My life didn't need ghosts who only showed up when guilt itched. My life didn't need someone who once decided my name was disposable. My life needed people who believed me without cross-examining, who stood in the fire instead of watching from the sidewalk. People like Kayla. People like Rook. Building forward. With that clarity, I started opening up more. Kayla introduced me to her friends, and slowly, carefully, I allowed myself to belong again. At first I expected suspicion in every laugh, betrayal in every silence. But it didn't come. These were people who asked me to bring chips to game night, who texted memes at midnight, who showed up to help move furniture without making it a big deal. I told a couple of them the truth about my past, voice shaking. They believed me. No interrogation, no are you sure? Just, that's awful. I'm glad you're here now. It felt like being reintroduced to humanity. Rook. Rook, my battle-scarred mutt, became the unofficial mascot of my second life. He'd sit under the table during board games, curl at Kayla's feet during movie nights, and greet everyone at the door like they were family. He carried his own trauma, but somehow that made him softer, gentler. Sometimes I'd watch him sleeping, twitching in dog dreams, and think, he almost didn't exist. If I'd given up completely, he'd never have been rescued. He'd never have found me. He was proof that surviving long enough to see better days is worth it. Closure. About 6 months after the email storm, Mason tried one last time. A handwritten letter slid under the door of my apartment. He wrote about missing the old days, about how he thought we could get back what we had. I ripped it in half and tossed it. Because here's the truth, we can never go back. Not to sleepovers, not to video games, not to secrets whispered in cars. The bridge burned, and even if someone rebuilt it, I wouldn't trust the wood. Closure doesn't mean hugging your betrayers. Sometimes closure is shutting the door and locking it, not out of hate but out of love for yourself. Where I am now. It's been years since Lila's lie detonated my world. I'm not the same person I was at 19. That boy was timid, trusting, quick to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. I honor him, but I'm not him anymore. Now I know boundaries. I know the value of silence. I know that loyalty means nothing if it can't survive the storm. Kayla and I are still together. She's seen me at my lowest, and she never flinched. She believes me when I say I'm okay, but she also believes me when I say I'm not. We talk about the future, houses, kids, vacations. I don't know if I'll ever stop feeling like my name has a shadow, but with her, I feel like the shadow doesn't win. The lesson. If you take anything from my story, let it be this. When someone shows you where they stand during your worst moment, believe them. Don't make excuses for silence. Don't beg for crumbs of loyalty. Don't reopen doors just because someone knocks with sorry in their hand. The people who deserve your future are the ones who chose you when it cost them something. I wasted too much time waiting for people who proved they weren't mine. I'm not wasting another second. Final scene. Last week, Kayla and I took Rook to the lake. He bounded through the water like he was built for it, barking at the waves. We sat on the dock, eating sandwiches, legs dangling over the edge. She leaned her head on my shoulder and said, "Can you believe this is our life?" I looked at her, at Rook, at the sun breaking on the water, and for the first time in years I thought, yeah, I can believe it. Because this life, this messy, scarred, imperfect, honest life, is mine. Not theirs. Not Lila's. Not the people who abandoned me. Mine. And I'm not giving it back.